everyone. Welcome to the SavvyCast. This is Jamie, and I'm so thrilled that you're joining today, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast. I have a very special guest today. She has become a very dear friend of mine, and she is beautiful inside and out. And I just asked her, I said, will you come share on the SavvyCast? And she said, yes. I'm sitting here looking at my friend, Kaycee Maddux. Kaycee, thank you for jumping on literally last minute.
Absolutely. I think we speak the same language. Let's just get it done.
That's right. Kaycee, I want you to share with everyone just a little bit about you, your family. But first, you know what I'm about to ask. We're going to find out what Kaycee would choose as her last meal.
This is funny because I have thought about it and I actually had a discussion about it with my boys and my daughter-in-law. And I had the meal last week in North Carolina. And so I texted everyone saying, I hope this isn't ominous of some sort. Yeah. Lobster with drawn butter, lots of garlic, truffle fries, and some sort of chocolatey, ooey gooey something. And maybe
Oh,
a glass of red wine.
oh my goodness. Okay, now that sounds fabulous. And you know what? That I could easily make that my last meal. And the thing about it, that's not something you can just walk in the kitchen and make.
Exactly.
Yeah, lobster is a little challenging, but
Yes, I grew up with lobsters walking around my kitchen. My dad, we grew up in South Florida, and so it's the fun stories of him coming in the house and having a bag full of lobsters and then getting loose around your kitchen.
oh my goodness. And then would he just boil them in the water?
Yes. And then you didn't listen because they would scream. So
That's right. Okay, that is so funny. That I will say on while we're on this note, Zane had a client who sent him some Maine lobsters one year for like a gift. And this box arrives. I had no idea. And I look and I see movement. I think it was called the lobster gram. I don't even know if they still exist. So I called my friend Iris, who I'm sure you know, Iris O'Brien, Southern Living Test Kitchen's chef. She came over with the biggest pot I have ever seen in my life, filled it up. And yes, I heard those little screams. It's quite the experience.
It is.
If you've never done it. But anyway, well, that is so interesting. Well, I just want to let everyone know why I've asked Kaycee to join today and share. And then I just want you, Kaycee, to share a little bit about yourself and your family. Last night, well, I've become very close to Kaycee just through church and through some other things. But last night, Zane and I attended a function, a fundraising or a benefit for an organization that I know Zane and one of my daughters are very passionate about, and I was thrilled to get to go and learn more last night. It's called Her Choice, and I'm going to let Kaycee share about that and some things that she's learned through her volunteer work because it really impacted me. But Kaycee, first, just give us a little intro to who you are.
Well, I am a wife and a mother, first and foremost. Follower of Christ, first and foremost, I should have said. I married my high school sweetheart. We're from South Florida. And in South Florida was my introduction to speaking Spanish. So I had a lot of friends who spoke Spanish. And so that was my introduction to it. So my husband and I were married. He was accepted to dental school here in Birmingham. I came also and finished college here. So we came for school and then we never left. And we have 3 boys and they were all born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama. All went to Auburn University. One, the oldest, is married. So I have a girl in the family now, Grace. And then Carson just graduated and Will is a sophomore at Auburn.
Oh, that's wonderful. Y'all have a beautiful family. And there's a reason you mentioned that you speak Spanish because that's a very relevant part of what we're going to be talking about. Kaycee, tell us, just because this is what a large part of what we're talking about, what is Her Choice and how did you get involved? And speaking Spanish has a lot to do with it.
Yes, it really does. Her Choice is a pregnancy medical center in Birmingham, Alabama. We're in downtown Birmingham. So what we do is we give women hope who are facing an unplanned pregnancy. So they will come in to us. Sometimes, we're the first ones that know that she's pregnant. We confirm their pregnancy. We perform an ultrasound. We counsel them. Some are very excited to be pregnant. Some are not excited. Some are seeking abortion. And so we just kind of walk them through, and we present the facts to them. We present choices, because what I've learned, the opposite side, Planned Parenthood, there is no choice whatsoever with them. Part of my story is God gives us all second and third and fourth chances. And when I was in college, I spoke Spanish. I was a Spanish major, and a friend of mine, we worked together in a restaurant as hostesses, and she told me that she was pregnant and she did not want to be. And I thought the best thing that I can do would be to help her find an abortion provider. Because at that time, we were all told it's a clump of cells and it's not really a baby. You know, I was a Christian, but nobody had ever spelled it out that way. So I took her, and I witnessed the destruction of life. And for years, Jamie, I had a nightmare that I had accidentally killed someone, and I couldn't reconcile it. I didn't understand what it was about until one day in prayer, I realized that that recurring nightmare I had was that it was an unconfessed sin of my participation in her abortion. And the movie Unplanned kind of brought all that to the surface also.
Mhm.
So it was something that I had to bring back to the Lord. And then he, in his goodness and sense of humor, said, okay, now let's see how you can use your gifts and how we can make some reparation. My cousin was in town visiting. I hadn't seen her in forever. And she said, I'm going to be close to UAB if you want to come meet me here. So I said, okay, I'll come meet you. You know, UAB, it's so hard to find parking.
It's like a city.
It is. And
Yeah.
so I found the first spot I can find, and it happened to be in front of Her Choice. And I had heard of Her Choice, and I had had people saying, oh, you should go volunteer at Her Choice. They would love to have you, and you speak Spanish. And it's like, I wanted to stay as far away from that as I possibly can. It sounded just too heavy. But my cousin wasn't ready to meet yet. And so I looked up and I'm hearing Her Choice. And in that, I saw a young Hispanic couple kind of like confused, not knowing where to go. And so I said, God, are you trying to tell me that I need to go offer help to them? So I did. And they had an appointment at Her Choice.
Did they speak any Spanish?
They only, I believe well, no, they looked like they would only speak Spanish, but they spoke Spanish and English. So joke was on me, but that was how God kind of
Oh,
drew me into the door.
yes.
So I went in and introduced myself. It turns out the couple didn't need me to interpret for them, nor would Her Choice have let me, because I was this stranger off the street. But I gave my name and number.
That's so funny.
If you ever need me, you know, here's my number. And Joy, the director, she jokes saying that the little sticky note with my name on it is like she saved it, saying, if you ever need me. Well, they ended up calling, and the interpreter that they had wasn't able to help anymore. And so they said, can you come and help? So it was just God's sweet way of using what was a terrible thing in my life and in my friend's life, and bringing so much more good out of it. It's Romans 8:28 in persona.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, fast forward to today.
Mhm.
You have been the sole interpreter for the Spanish speaking people who come for how long?
Probably about 8 years now, I believe.
And you have so many things that I think are so powerful that I know people are going to be touched by. Can you first, before we get to something that to me is very particularly powerful, I want you to tell, what do you see when someone comes in and they do not speak English? They're in downtown Birmingham, and she may be alone or with her boyfriend, and she's pregnant, can't speak English. What does that look like? What's a typical appointment? Or just happen to come up? Happen.
No, we have intake forms that are in Spanish, but I first like to, I have to explain myself that I'm the one who speaks Spanish, because I don't look like the typical Spanish speaker. So
Mhm.
I try to just make them feel welcome and just like speak to them in their language and just tell them, let's get some information from you. So basically, I get their intake information. I kind of get a little bit of a story. I mean, the intake forms tell you a lot, down to the size of the writing, to the strength with which they're using the pen. Everything tells a story to try to get an insight in who is this girl that hopefully you'll be able to help. So we do a pregnancy test, and if that's positive, we usually do an ultrasound. And I just listen to her and hear her story and see how we might be able to help. Because as you heard last night, the speaker say, sometimes all it takes is one person coming alongside a woman saying, you do have choices. You don't have to abort. You don't have to give up X, Y, and Z. And I believe in you and I think you could do it. And you are a good person and you are a good girl, which a lot of them come in with so much shame. So just
Mm.
those little things can help them make the right decision.
There was a lot of talk last night about the ultrasound machine, and
Yes.
because those, and this does make sense, technology is so swift that
Right.
you have to replace those every so many years to be able to stay current. Tell me the impact or the significance of having an ultrasound machine at her choice or at any crisis pregnancy center.
They call it a window to the womb, and it truly is. The argument back in the day was this isn't a real life, this isn't a heartbeat. Well, now we know that that's a lie, so they have to change their language now to try to convince people that abortion is helpful. But just on a practical sense, I mean, when you're scanning a woman and I'm right there next to her because our sonographer doesn't speak Spanish, so I'm explaining everything that's happening and they'll look and they'll say, "Wait, is that's my it has a heartbeat? That's the baby's heartbeat?" At 8 weeks we're cranking up the volume. They can hear the baby's heartbeat. They could see. I was with a girl this morning. Her baby had hiccups. I mean,
Oh my goodness, how sweet.
and like this, sometimes they're sucking their thumb very, very early on. And those are things that just makes you realize this is not a clump of cells. This is a human life separate from yourself. So it really just helps them to make an informed decision because that's all we're trying to do. I can't make the decision for her, but she needs all of the facts to make an informed decision. So if we've done that at the end of the day and offered her truth and hope, then we've done our job.
So, Kaycee, when they see the ultrasound, what's the most common reaction?
Usually a smile and tears,
Hmm.
usually the case. I can't believe that's what, is that this? Is that that? Like it just complete joy is
Hmm.
usually the case, followed by some fear, but the initial response is like, I can't believe I'm seeing this.
Yeah. And okay, so after that happens, whether it's one of your Spanish speaking patients or another, what happens after the ultrasound?
So then we'll talk to her, find out what she's thinking. Is it the same thing that she was thinking when she walked in the door? Did the ultrasound change her mind in any sort of way? Talk to her about that. Encourage her to get prenatal care. We have arrangements with clinics in town. So if she needs help making an appointment, I will help make her an appointment. Um, we give prenatal vitamins. We talk to them about our Earn While You Learn class. So we have that in Spanish and in English. And we also have it online. And it's just a beautiful curriculum of how to be a good mom, how to manage multiple children, financial resource, how to manage your finances, things like sexual integrity and making good decisions and respecting yourself and and I had an extra class that I taught with another wonderful counselor at her choice called Embrace Grace, which is in a program for people that are churched and feel rejected by the church. So it's a Bible study specifically for them. And so that was a beautiful thing. So if they go through this program, then they earn mommy money, which is basically credits to go towards everything that they need to get set up, crib and car seat and diapers and wipes. And we ask what color they want. Our little boutique is precious. It doesn't look like it's a bunch of old stuff. It's new, it's beautiful, it's
Oh.
organized. It just brings such a special touch to make them feel like they are loved and appreciated.
Oh, I love that. And you were talking, or one of you last night who spoke, were talking about showering some
Yeah.
of these girls, giving them a shower. Now, I do want to ask for the ones who make a choice not to keep the baby, but they don't want to have an abortion, do you have places that you send them that are for adoption?
Yes. So which is not typical, it's a crazy way of thinking, but I've never been in that situation, so I don't know.
Oh.
A lot of them, when you propose, okay, I know you don't want to be pregnant. Abortion has so many ramifications. It's not like you're just going to get rid of a little problem. You're going to open the door to so many more that you never thought of. But so have you thought of adoption? But a lot of times they'll say, oh, I could never do that. I
Hmm.
would love my baby so much I couldn't do that. So you see how that sounds. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't love your baby now, but mean, of course, we don't say it like that, but
Mhm.
so a lot of them say they could never choose adoption, but we have had some great adoption stories. We have an attorney that we work with, a couple actually, and we connect them. I had a couple in particular where then I was the liaison between the attorney and the adoptive family and the biological mom, and just got to be part of that whole entire process, which is so special. So we do have.
That's beautiful. What percentage would you say, Kaycee, of all of the girls, women that you all encounter, what percentage decide I'm not going to abort, I'm going to keep my baby?
Well, I didn't even know that statistic because I'm not a quantifier. I just try to show up and
Right,
love people. But
right.
I believe Jim said last night, what is it, 80 to 85%?
That's what I thought, but I didn't want to, because numbers tend to get jumbled, but that's
Yes.
what I thought he said. And I thought that was amazing. I thought that was a
Yes.
very encouraging number. What what would you like for, because her choice is in Birmingham. But I think you've got some, and all of this will be linked in show notes. Anything that anyone watching or listening might want to reference will be in the show notes. If someone is sitting there thinking, I would love to help
Mhm.
women who are seeking help, they're pregnant, of whatever their situation, what are some organizations they could reach out to?
I'd have to think about the organizations, but just I would look to those who used to work in the abortion industry. They're the ones that really have the information. Abby Johnson and Lila Rose and Patricia Sandoval
Mm-hmm.
last night. Um,
Mm-hmm.
really to understand. And I would say educate yourself. We sometimes assume, I had a friend who told me, well, I've never met anyone that was pro-choice before. I said, you absolutely have. You just don't realize that you have because you feel like in polite conversation, you're not to speak of it. But educate yourself on what abortion really is, the statistics, what it really does. Educate yourself on the foundations of Planned Parenthood, who it was founded by, why they're doing what they're doing, follow the money, and just educate yourself on fetal development. And don't believe the lie that abortion is going to solve a problem. I mean, statistically speaking, women come back pregnant about a year from the date of their last abortion. And they would tell me that, and I said, surely that's not, the phone will ring.
Mm-hmm.
We have a post-abortion counseling ministry, which is wonderful. There's Rachel's Vineyard, which is a great organization to help these women release this guilt and move on. That would be one I would definitely say.
There was something that I believe Jim referenced, or maybe it was the speaker. And what was her? She was fabulous. Remind me her name.
Yes. Oh, now that you just said that,
Well, she's Lila Rose. They
you were,
work together, and she's in the thick of it in Washington and DC. I mean, she's been all over the news. But
yes,
when
Allison Secofanti, I think, one
yeah,
more.
oh yes, it was a hard to pronounce last name.
Yeah. She's from
Um,
Jersey, like my daughter-in-law.
yes, I remember. Okay, she said something that I found very interesting. They were in New York City. Am I correct that they were in New York
Yes.
City? Can you recount that story, the sort of the experiment that they did?
Yes, and there's a video that we watched. We didn't play it last night, but we watched. So basically, it's one thing to be, oh, I don't want to think about abortion or I'm pro-choice, like in theory, but when you really understand what it's doing to a woman, there's no way that you could be pro-woman and pro-abortion at the same time. So she had an iPad, and it wasn't even graphic. It was animated. It was medically animated what an
Right.
abortion actually is. And it was a video made by former abortionists who realized what they were doing, and now have come to the truth. So
Mhm.
she had people have headphones and watch this video of what an abortion actually is. But when you see what it is, it's no longer a theory. And she said didn't she say most of those people?
She said that they just went up and said, "Can we have 3 minutes of your time? Would you watch this video and give us your
Yes.
feedback?" And she said that it showed an abortion at three every different trimester.
Uh-huh.
I think that's right. The
Yes.
very first in the beginning. And they just showed with the animation what it
Yes.
was. And I believe she said that that every single one of them said we had no idea.
Exactly. We
Like
had
they had no idea.
No idea. And that's just our job. Just present the information to let
Facts.
smart women make smart choices. We have the information, and then it's up to us to choose what we do with it.
Yes. Well, this has been so powerful. I would is there anything you would like to say or any just your favorite story that just warmed your heart? Anything you want to leave us with? Because this has been heavy, but it has also been very empowering and uplifting.
I would just like to say that God is in every single detail of every woman's life, of every baby's life, and things that we don't realize or connected are. Um, I was counseling a girl who thought she wanted to give for adoption, and she changed her mind after the baby was born. And I had a name in my head that the baby, I said, if I was her mom, this is what I would name the baby. And at discharge, the mom was there and the sister-in-law was there. And so we were joking and we said, what are you going to name the baby? And she said, well, I have a name in mind. And I'm joking with the sister-in-law saying, well, I have a name in mind too. And I am not kidding. It was the exact same name.
Oh,
Milagros Alejandra. And milagro means miracle.
oh my goodness, that's amazing.
And it's not
Wow.
a very common name, but it's just those kind of things that you realize
Mm,
this is God's show. We
a
just have to
wink.
show up. Yes, and we have to show up. What is it that you want me to do today? And do it and get out of his way.
Wow. Well, I just appreciate you so much, and I know that this is somehow going to touch one or many, who knows, but this has been wonderful, and I appreciate you. And to all watching and listening, if you want to get more information, it will all be in the show notes. And until next time, you all have a fabulous rest of your day. Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the SavvyCast. If you'll take the time to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, that would mean so much. As always, thank you for listening and have a blessed day.